Netflix is about to make a series with very few Taiwanese lines, and the Taiwanese lines they do have are all swear words. This is racist. I'm guessing that you can talk about this with 10 guys who grew up in Formosa, and 8 or 9 of them would tell you that they wouldn't mind the only Taiwanese lines in your series being all swear words. Hi, my name is Hua. I make pop rice and I'm devoting my life to the protection of my endangered mother tongue, Taiwanese. Last week, I picked up the newspaper for the first time in a few years, and the first article I read worried me so much straight away that I felt I had to make this video. The article was in Chinese. It says that Netflix is making a new series called The Brother's Son. It's a story about family and gangsters that happens in Formosa and in Los Angeles. It's basically an English series, but it's got some lines in Chinese too. The male lead, Justin Chan, had learned some Taiwanese swear words, so he put them to use as he performed for this series. To sum up, Netflix is shooting a story about a Taiwanese gangster who has very few lines in Taiwanese, and whenever he does say something in Taiwanese, he is swearing. Well, if you grew up in the United States where people are more aware of racism, I believe by now an alarm has gone off in your brain screaming this is not okay. If that's not the case, you probably grew up in Formosa or China. Let me break this down for you. If we had a TV series where black characters have very few lines, and where they do get lines, they're swearing, what would you call a series like this? I think that sounds like racist. If we had a TV series with very few Spanish lines, and the Spanish lines that we do have are all swearing, what would you call a series like this? Yeah, that sounds like racist too. You see where I'm going with this? Netflix is about to make a series with very few Taiwanese lines, and the Taiwanese lines they do have are all swear words. This is racist. And I'm worried sick about it because I love Netflix. I've been a Netflix user for like 10 years. I'm guessing that you can talk about this with 10 guys who grew up in Formosa, and 8 or 9 of them would tell you that they wouldn't mind the only Taiwanese lines in your series being all swear words. But let's not do this the Chinese way like how they've been taught. I'm sure Netflix would want to do this the American way, which is to show equal respect for all races, all genders, and all languages. If you're American and you don't know terribly much about Asia, you're probably wondering, is Taiwanese a language? Don't Taiwanese people just all speak Chinese? Well, short answers, yes it is, and no we don't. And the following 2 minutes are the longer answers. Taiwanese came into existence around 400 years ago in a city that was known as Taiwan, in an island known as Formosa. It shares its linguistic ancestors with Hokkien. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that the word ketchup is actually borrowed from a Taiwanese word, gejiap, which means fermented juice from fish or meat, because the earliest versions of ketchup were more like some kind of fish paste rather than tomato sauce. Many would try to tell you that Taiwanese is a dialect of Chinese, but the difference between Taiwanese and Chinese is scientifically larger than that between English and German. Xi Jinping won't understand a single word when I speak Taiwanese. So, if you wouldn't call English a German dialect, you probably shouldn't call Taiwanese a Chinese dialect either, unless it politically benefits you to do so. In Formosa, Taiwanese has been the de facto lingua franca until a few decades ago. At the end of the Second World War, about 80% of the population in Formosa were native speakers of Taiwanese. But today, only 5% of all the elementary school kids in the same island still speak the language. Wow, that's a dramatic drop, isn't it? How did that happen? Well, you see, we have these post-war armed immigrants, also known as the Republic of China. They brought Chinese to Formosa, which was a language that practically no one spoke here before that. They fined kids for speaking Taiwanese at school, they limited or even banned Taiwanese hours on TV, they subsidized Chinese film production heavily and drowned the Taiwanese movie industry, they confiscated Bibles printed in Taiwanese. Most importantly, to this day, we're still denied the option of receiving education in Taiwanese when almost 80% of all the taxpayers are ethnically Taiwanese. It's like everything you can possibly imagine that helps killing a language, you name it, they've done it. So I guess you can say that in Formosa, there has been a very long period of time when being racist against Taiwanese was actually a government policy. Which is why, if you're wondering, no one on your production team in Formosa noticed anything about something so obviously racist. So you can see that if Netflix is making a TV series that will very likely turn out to be racist against Taiwanese, it won't really help when my mother tongue is already severely endangered by UNESCO standards. But I'm sure Netflix will want to help when given enough information. I mean, you guys probably just don't know the languages and couldn't really tell whether the actor was swearing in Taiwanese or Chinese when he performed. And I'm sure you guys would try to help when the situation is well explained, which I believe I have. So, here's what I think you can do to help. Option 1. Delete all the takes with Taiwanese swear words, and where deleting is not an option, dub it. Have the actor swear again in Chinese instead. I'm sure he knows how. Am I saying that instead of having some Taiwanese swearing in this series that has a shot at being internationally famous, I'd rather we have no Taiwanese at all? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Pretty much the way how a black person would prefer no black characters at all to some black characters who are all vulgar in a movie. Option 2. Leave the swear words and throw in non-swearing Taiwanese lines to thin them down. Like, the gangster can use this language to express his love for his mom. If we do enough of this, we can bring the swearing-non-swearing ratio back down to a level where we can still confidently say Taiwanese is respectfully represented in this series. This option is way more expensive, so I can't really recommend it to you. But if you guys do choose it to do it this way, you're gonna make me a very happy man for like 3 months in a row. So I think that sums it up. Guys from Netflix, let me thank you in advance for being willing to help. And everyone who doesn't work for Netflix but care enough to be watching, I thank you on behalf of my mother tongue. Please share this video with everyone you know in the United States so that we can maximize the chance for this issue to make it to Netflix attention. Thanks again. 咱大家来甲台湾话斗相挺、斗赞声、华我真感恩。努力！